Over 25 years, I'll just say generally. And we're young, yes.
Forever 39.
And she couldn't be here, so PK is going to tell us some really interesting things about URI and her own work. And also, Monica is going to talk for about 5 minutes on from a video that she made. But I think I'll kind of, yeah, it's noisy here, we understand that. Fortunately, we have microphones. And anyway, so we're the Academy for Future Science, and Monica and PK are representing United Religions Initiative, which to me is one of the best groupings of religious organizations around the world, and they're working all the time to bring people together and to bring harmony and great music and great vibration.
And we work with URI for over 20 years. We are an ecumenical movement. We would call it a type of spiritual grassroots movement to find a bridge between science, spirituality, and the artistic musical side. So we have a great tradition. I've had the privilege of working with Alice Coltrane and some of the great singers worldwide. We've used music as a way of reaching the heart, opening the heart, because words can only reach so far in vibration. So we're very honored to have a beautiful sister with us.
Right, and then at the end we're going to close with a peace meditation using some sacred expressions from various religious traditions. But let me start with the background of PK McCary. So she is an artist and practicing artist for over 30 years, focusing on storytelling, mentorship, and activism to promote peace and challenge systematic oppression. As a community elder, she likes the following quote, and this is part of her work: "In every deliberation, we must consider the impact on the 7th generation in order to avoid and eradicate the traumas of the past and the ills within our current society." She really strongly feels that going back to this practice of 7th generation strategy is necessary to achieve the goals that we all seek to do. She's an artist and believes that we must strive to overcome what is oppression and structurally divisiveness in our communities, and believe that we do so oftentimes through art. Over the years, her practice has created programs, venues, and other activities to showcase not only her work, but to generate collaboration with other artists and activists in innovative and thought-provoking endeavors that teach and mold really our greater consciousness. Her role as an artist is to help build the capacity of those who work to make things better, while also following their passions and artistry. She has designed and implemented programs that are culturally diverse and strategized to consider what can happen when we work together and share our talents. Lastly, she has worked to capture the narratives of these efforts through her life as a storyteller. As James Baldwin said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." So with that, we give you PK McCary. Thank you.
First of all, I do bring you greetings from URI. First of all, I do bring you greetings from URI, United Religions Initiative. I'm a founding member as well as a Global Council trustee. Trustees are individuals who come from the different regions where our cooperative circles are. And being a cooperative circle really means that you're in your area, your region, your culture, you're working with at least 3 religions and 7 people coming together to address the ills of society, but also to push the great things that we do so that we can have the tools by which to work together. I believe in building bridges, not walls, and as we do that, we can think of bridges in all kinds of ways, and I hope when we do the meditation, we'll add that to it. The other, I think I can do it, yeah. The other aspect of what I do, there's another quote, and that's from Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King says, everybody can serve. And when they talked about service, when Monica told me about them, I had not met them, but known them in writings and videos and pictures over the years of URI, and realized that we've only been 1 degree of separation. As I talk about being a person of service, that service came for me culturally by becoming an elder. Of course, when I was 55, a group of young people called me an elder, and my elders, who at the time 80 and 90 years old, told me, no, I was an elder in training. So now that I've hit my 70th birthday, I can now claim to be an elder. Service is probably the ingredient that is missing a lot of times when we deem to work together across cultural lines, racial lines, ethnicities, religions. When we work across that barrier, we are taking our lives into our hands. How can you have empathy for somebody who doesn't believe as you do? How can you work with someone who is on the other side of the globe? Well, technology has helped with that a little bit, but I think it has been the heartstrings of those who have this commitment to the world can be a better place. And the world can be a better place one day at a time, it seems like right now, even though there is a sense of urgency that we get rid of weapons, that we end racism, that we build healthy societies, safety for children. I mean, the list is long. And it's all under a word called climate, the climate of our beings. We need to be each other's friends. We need to get to know one another. We have to learn how to fight, how to disagree. And that's part of what I do when I work with young people. So I will give you quickly 2 things that I've done that I think shows where you can use your creativity to make the world better. 1, in 2010, I met a young man in Jordan who told me that he liked rap music. I kind of laughed and I went, well, I don't dislike it, but it's not on my playlist. But here he was, 20 years old in college, and he loved photography. And he wanted photography to be used as a way that we can see peace. Well, we tried. And when we tried, we didn't know what a peace picture looked like. So we had to define it. And one of the words that we used was a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's what we want when a person sees this picture. They will be impacted by it, inspired by it. And so we broke it down into ceremony. We broke it down into helping one another in conflict areas. We worked it when someone took a picture of whirling dervishes. And then one young lady took a picture with her Islam symbol, shaking hands with the woman who was Christian with her Christian symbol. They shook hands, and that's the only thing you saw. All of a sudden, we start looking at, well, what does peace look like? It doesn't just look, it also sounds. It's also touch. It's all of our senses that gets captured. And when they're captured, it changes that hard place in your heart that you needed to solve it. So, 2011, we did 1,000 kalima. Kalima being the Arabic phonetics for 1,000 words. We have almost 200, more than 200 submissions. And the long and the short of it is, those pictures are going around the world. And we should not stop with just those 200 people pictures. We should be creating things like that creatively that changes the mind when you don't even recognize that your mind needed change. The last thing is, every year I do a Martin Luther King reading, and I get children and adults sometimes, but mostly children who we call scholars. They've done the Two Americas, Letter from a Birmingham Jail. Of course, the I Have a Dream speech. But there have been a lot of speeches that Dr. King has done, and that's about my seventh generation strategy. Knowing that these children who know Dr. King only from a book or a movie meets the kid who met Dr. King when I was 14. And the year after having to have that grief when we lost him to violence. That bridge should never be severed. And in Texas and Florida, they're trying to by banning books like Rosa Parks. And I think that in service, we should speak up and not collude with the powers that be by apathy or just ignoring. We've got work to do, but I can't do it by myself. I wish I could. Maybe I don't. Maybe what I really wish is that today I just found new partners for the work that needs to be done to make this world a better place. God bless the whole world, no exceptions.
Well, we're going to just hear about 5 minutes from Monica. She was really sad she couldn't be with us, but...
Hello, I'm Monica Willard, and I represent the United Religions Initiative at the United Nations. It is my pleasure to be with you at the Parliament of the World's Religions today, thanks to Drs. JJ and Desiree Hurtak, my longtime colleagues at the United Nations, and along with P.K. McCary, my dear friend and colleague at the United Religions Initiative. I'm going to share with you a few things about service that I've learned and been able to use at the United Nations that make a difference for me personally, and I think it makes a difference within our organization. Partnerships for the global goals are essential and one of the main goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. So getting to know other people with the same objectives or similar objectives to try to engage in a new way has been a wonderful way of implementing the issues and the ideas that we were trying to do at the United Nations and for the United Nations in the world. And I'd like to give you a few examples that you might be able to take home and implement in your community. The first one coming up is the International Day of Peace on September 21st. This year's theme is Actions for Peace, our ambitions for the global goals. The global goals that we're referring to are, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of these Sustainable Development Goals, and most of them have been the goals of community organizers, religions, spiritual traditions for a long time, addressing poverty, the environment, peace, education, gender equity. There are 17 goals in general, and each one interconnects in some way with the others. And together, people taking on various goals can make an impact on a very specific issue, or you can make an impact on the whole. Because all of the service that you can do, for instance, as simple as bringing food to a food bank, that addresses hunger and poverty. Or you can write a check, and that also addresses it. But we can work together to educate ourselves and to develop a real passion for looking at areas that make the world a better place. And there is never a lack of a need for kindness, love, compassion, which each of you can bring to any project and to all of the service that you do. And those are the ways that we can make specific differences and find partners to work with, to really expand and anchor at the same time an issue. And I'd like to give you a few issues specifically to look at. The International Day of Peace is one. The next one I'd like you to look at is December 10th. It will be the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration for Human Rights. Human rights is a part of this Parliament's theme. This declaration is so important in all of the UN work, and yet it reads more like a poem than it does a legal document. It is something that religions have worked on for health, for human rights, for the goodness, and also that ability to know that each person has the right to life, to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but also to specific ways that we need to protect the most vulnerable. And we need to limit those who want to ignore the rights of others. So take it upon yourself to look at the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, December 10th, and to be part of learning about it, sharing it, and anchoring it in your work and in your community. Moving the calendar forward to February, the first week in February is World Interfaith Harmony Week. And we can find ways to work with people we haven't worked with in the past. We can expand our knowledge on someone else's tradition or spiritual belief. We can connect in new ways. March at the UN goes to the Commission on the Status of Women, and also is World Water Day. There are very specific ways that you can connect with the United Nations and make it a part of your community, your life. And one that I want to share, that I've been passionate about, and it has recently passed, is Nuclear Prayer Day, August the 6th. This is the date that commemorates the bombing of Hiroshima. August 9th was when the second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. May these be the last bombs that are ever used.
And so that is our message from Monica Willard. She's so, again, sorry she can't be here. I'd like to then take a few minutes and introduce my husband, Dr. J.J. Hurtak. We're with the Academy for Future Science, which is an international NGO working in many places around the world. And we have guests here from the Academy from Mexico, South Africa, Canada, and other places as well. And I just want to show, he has a PhD from the University of California and a second PhD from the University of Minnesota. And we really have worked, he's been at the Parliament speaking since 1999. So he hasn't missed one since 1999. And we're happy, of course, to be here in Chicago.
I was a guest of Nelson Mandela. I had the opportunity with Desiree to work behind the scenes before the apartheid system changed, and we were using music in sacred language. We would call sacred expressions found in biblical context of the ancient prophets in the Aramaic, the Arabic, the Hebrew, and of course the Greek Coptic. That is to say, we were using a musical synergy to open hearts and minds in a much deeper and more profound way amongst the tribes, amongst the Europeans and the Africans, and of course in South America, amongst the indigenous, the peoples of the forest, the Amazon, oppressed, we have had great success without the use of violence. And so musical attunement is the bridge. It is the Word of God in action. We're going to show you some of the examples of our work worldwide because, again, we can talk about service, but ultimately service has to come down into mobilization, into practice.
Right, so we're starting with some things that we have done as an academy, and then we're going to move into a peace meditation, so hopefully you'll join us in using some of the sacred expressions, but also just going deep within and being able to reach out throughout the world. So we want to talk about some of the work we did with the community of La Cruz in El Salvador, and this is a small community. You can see the houses here. They don't usually have windows, and they also did not have running water. So we did about 3 things that were key for this community. One was to talk about an environmental program at their school in Tamanica, and to explain, what happens with garbage and how things could be, better used and utilized by the community. So we were able to do that. And then because they don't have windows, they really can't go into their houses during the day and do their homework. So we were very concerned with the children and getting a good education. So we actually showed them how you can take a heavy duty, not the little cheap ones nowadays, Coke bottle, and actually cut a hole in the roof. And if you put just some water and chlorine inside, or Clorox bleach, you can see them doing this, you could actually bring light inside. You put it right on the roof. It's called a solar light diffuser. So we were very impressed, and they really enjoyed that, to be able to then go into their houses in the daytime, because they don't have those windows, and be able to have a light that they could do their homework on.
So we're talking about the poor of the poor. They were oppressed. The political regime would not allow help to be brought in, even for water. So we had to protest and explain this either through local journalists and others that we were people of action. People had to bring the water of life. And so, again, the metaphor of Scripture, the living water, means the sense of how we use our higher consciousness. In the biblical sense, the Christ consciousness of being able to see miracles at work that we can do in a practical way.
Right, so this is one of the communities where they had to spend half their day going out to get water to be able to wash their dishes or wash their clothes. And yet water was somewhat accessible, but it was not easy with the government. I mean, we actually had to not only pay taxes, but to actually threaten them with the fact that we would bring in news media if they did not allow this community, which wasn't maybe the favorite on the political party list, to receive water. And then they reneged. And so, you can see that how they lived before, having to watch every little drop of water, to the work that we were able to do, the excavation of drainage pits, and then also we did bring in pipes as part of that, and then the actual water canisters, because you can get the water in and then they can hold it and continue on. So we were able to accomplish in this village, and actually in many others around the world, bringing in water to the community.
So this is like a Lamborghini to a poor community. Just a water basin, a simple water basin that's large enough that you can bathe the child, you can do the laundry, you can do with the necessities of a kitchen, and you can help, of course, neighboring village people meet the necessities of life.
So it's simple and it's cheap. That's the interesting thing. And here's the pipes being brought in, and being able to dig into the system that was already not that far away. So it really didn't take too much. And you see the little kids also wanting to help out. Finally, of course, running water right out of their sinks, and that was just fabulous. And this was done with the help of our good friend Carolyn Pies, who's actually from Colombia, Bogota, Colombia, and so she was able to know how to work with a lot of these
And she was teaching them
situations.
also the sacred names of God. Either in some parts of the world we do this in French, and others in Spanish and Portuguese. But these are the names that we have had miracles working on. People will say, what do you mean by miracles? I'm saying that there's a whole study going on with the concept of sound and acoustical physics. I'm holding up our new book called Sound. It's available at our table upstairs. But we had the chance to work with some of the top physicists in the world using sound vibrations. And under some very unique circumstances, Well, we were working inside the pyramids of Egypt. As you can see in this document, the Great Pyramid lit up in golden light for a few seconds because the vibrations of my voice and the other singers created what is called a standing columnar wave that vibrated off the walls of the pyramid, lit up inside. This is historically called the mystical light of the experience. And we believe that the cultures of the world had their sacred places reflect light or generate a type of musical soundscape of love.
All right, just a few more pictures of our work in the service. Of course, give us this day our daily bread. This is something that many Christians are familiar with in terms of a prayer. And, you know, it's really something that supposedly everyone should and has the ability to get what's needed from this planet. We also work at the UN in sustainable development, and we're very concerned about what's going on in terms of both energy and food ability, water and food acquirements at the UN. And one of the things we did, these are the Javanti Indians. They're in Brazil, and we help them with certain equipment. They live off of something called mandioca, which is a root. It's kind of like a sweet potato, only it's white. And we were able to get them some more modern equipment so as their community grows, they can be able to make it into the flour that they need to make all the other substances they use for this basic item.
We were made honorary chiefs because we not only acknowledge their heritage, but we combine the mantras, the Hebrew with the Amazonian mantras to produce certain recordings, and the results were magnificent. We did this also with the Zulus in Africa. Bringing different musical vibrations of different cultural traditions opens the heart even into a greater pulse. A greater singularity is achieved. And here we have in one of the kitchen areas the young people that are brought together in dance and song. So this is the song, this is the celebration, the song of music that is motivating us. We're working presently with a documentary with a Toltec elder by the name of Mendahi Bastida, and we're going around to all the sacred areas of the world with the elders of that particular region of the world.
They just got back from Uluru in Australia.
Before that in Tibet, before that in Africa, before that in certain...
And Greenland. Yeah.
Greenland.
Yeah.
The idea is there's 13 areas of the world now being concentrated and opened by musical singers and musicians that we believe is a reference to the gathering of the tribes, the coming of the star nations. Now, I'm not speaking of this abstractly, I'm speaking this literally, that we have documentation of vehicles or ships of light that have come in from one of their portals of experience. So this is really the work behind the scenes, is the gathering of the nations.
Right, and just a few more pictures from the Chavanti. Again, these are an indigenous tribe in the northwestern part of Brazil, just before the Amazon. We had dentists come in to help them because a lot of times they don't have any way of taking care of their teeth, which becomes something that could be infectious throughout their lives and even affect their heart. I think we know that. We also were able to give them some very primitive sewing machines, which they actually did appreciate. You know, you often wonder about those situations, but we were able to, you know, provide them with some needed substance that helped them completely. So, anyway, Jeff was just showing you, I'll just go back, we helped the Chavanti of the Amazon with both getting food that they needed and certain care. Anyway, moving now, why is it important to be in service to others? I think this is something that PK was also talking about. We are all one humanity, and helping others is really also helping ourselves.
In the historic metaphor is the tree of life, the Es Chaim. We've seen here illustrated by one of our artists with the 7 hands, pairs of hands in flame, opening the 7 seals of the 7 chakras. So we see a global dynamic taking place with the coming of the dove, the La Paloma symbol, which is a symbol of universal peace, higher communication, and even the symbol of ascension, that we are all ready as a humanity to move together into a one mother life form of unity.
Right, and so whether you see the 7 hands is connected with the 7 religions, and the dove really, or at least the bird of peace, is familiar in most traditions, along with the tree of life. So those are two symbols that are there. So really, we can't, like this shows in a type of network, we can't help one without also helping the other. We're networked, we are connected. And whether it's in the east or the west, the north or the south, above or below, we all are linked together and all influencing each other. I just want to say we were recently in Palenque about really 1 month ago, and fortunately we were able to get people together to sing and share, and we had indigenous ceremonies there, which normally the government authorities do not allow, but this was a special ceremony that we were able to bring people
As
together.
archaeologists who work with the finding of this tomb of Osiris in Egypt, and Osiris is connected with the bringing of music to Mother Earth, we also were familiar with the work of Roberto Ruz, who found the special stela or plaque that shows the
Ancient astronaut type of
the Mayan astronaut of the 7th century, pointing to the heavens, which some interpret to be the opening knowledge of the higher astronomy the Mayans had. Anyway, this exemplifies what is going on throughout the world. Indigenous people are meeting because they know Mother Earth is crying. The elder brother of the heavens is calling people together in compassion and love. And we are just privileged to be able to reach out with music, sacred language, sacred geometry, art, and symbolism to show that we are the temple of understanding. This is not the historic temple, but we are the connecting temple. And when we connect all the temples, places of worship on the highest level of vibration, with the 7 seals, the 7 chakras, the 7 trumpets, we become that crown of glory in the sense of gathering of the nations. We become the temple of understanding. So this is just one side of what I would like to share with you now. In another location, Tulu, Mexico, I'm holding my picture, what happened in year 2000 when I was praying in the ancient languages of the prophets. Suddenly light came around my body, and I momentarily entered another dimension. This is a very powerful illustration of what Stanford Research Institutes that I work with in California later looked at in terms of mind over matter frequencies. When you open the 7th seal or the higher parts of the mind, you can go into a paraphysical energy field. And that is the key to bringing the spiritual and scientific metaphor together.
So now we'd like to start this prayer for peace, and we'd like PK as well to give us some of her energy out there. Let's see the entire globe coming together.
The blue-green planets, the sparks of light on all sides, the gathering of vibration, the synergy of the heart, the awakening of the soul. As Marianne Williamson said, we can go from cross to ascension, but you have to hear the still small voice. That in Hebrew is called the Bath Kol. And that is the symbol, also the voice of the dove.
And let us feel and focus our energies in different parts of the world, that of the Middle East, that of Ukraine and Russia, that of parts of Africa, like Niger and others, Nigeria and Kenya, that are also having to struggle at this time.
As well as Sudan and South Sudan. We hear the cry of the people. We ask the blessings of the divine to come through our work together as we seek ecumenical solidarity.
And in our country that we're in today, not just here in Chicago, but across the planet, of the Southern Americans and the North Americans, we need to hold that up to the light so that people can see that we are all valuable, no matter our color or our creed.
And so we bless the path that is now unfolding before our eyes, as one of our artists at the Academy has illustrated. We see the return of the dove, the La Paloma, wherever we send our thoughts as hearts. Look at the illustration here upon the waters of change. Those little heart platforms come together and they open up the gates to the coming of the divine family. We call symbolically the return of the dove, the La Paloma. In the Hebrew, the Yonah, the east, the concept of the Ba, the vibration of the dove that begins to sing across the waters of change. We ask the divine source in all glory, in the quickening of conscience, in the opportunity of service to let us make the supreme sacrifice to be the bridge builders and the catalysts of cosmic change.
And so let us just send the message of peace. We can say that word 12 times in English, sending that energy of love and peace throughout the globe. As PK is tapping her heart, we can do that. We can also see the energy flowing out. And let us send the energy as we say, peace,
Peace, peace, peace, peace,
peace, peace, peace, peace. And let us see our globe literally being surrounded by light and by hearts of love, and being able to have people receive that energy right now, right at this moment. Dr. Hurtak and I have worked with remote viewing, and that's the ability to be able to send our mind through the consciousness field, which is not only local or global, but also cosmic. And let us send that energy around the globe, knowing that people can receive that higher love, that higher vibration. And once again now, also see ourselves beginning to radiate that love from the heart-centered outward, not just within ourselves, but around ourselves, and to everyone we touch and we feel.
And therefore the words that give us today our daily bread, that daily bread becomes our heartbeat, our substance, our life force, our way of teaching, the divine logos that John the Divine speaks of, the logos theou. I'm going to sing it subtonically. Logos theou.
The Word of God.
7 times. Logos theou. Feel your heart. Logos theou. 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 This is the sacred mantra, thus, that is expanded from a mantra to a sacred mantra, to a sacred expression, to a divine name, and then ultimately the divine utterance. And so there's levels of sacred language the indigenous have carried down through the centuries. Now as we put this together with the different mothering languages of the world, we find that there is a language that brings us together in melody, celebration. This is what drew me and Alice Coltrane together to collaborate on Music of Ascension. Carlos Santana joined us, reaching millions of young people, not through academic papers, not through abstract concepts of creed and creation, but through the vibrations of the heart, mind, and spirit, the triple power working together. As King David tells us in Psalm 51, the new self, the old self, the Holy Spirit come together in sacred vibration. And so we go on as we see the cosmogram begin to vibrate and energize us. Not one heart, but 7 hearts. Not one chakra trumpet, but 7 converge.
Peace, justice, and healing are unveiled today that is within our power, our consciousness, to invoke and inspire others to become all that they can be and be willing to share their essence with us.
As we look across the horizons, the Sanskrit also comes into our lips. One of the oldest and most sacred traditions, the hymns to the divine. The Om vibration gives us the omnidirectionality, the Shanti, the Shanti, Shanti, the triple power of peace within the Om, the sacred sutra texts of the East, connect with the sacred scriptures. And those who are now being written in our hearts for future humanity. Again, we intone quietly. Om Shanti 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 Om. Om Shanti 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 Om.
Together if you'd like.
Om Shanti 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 Om. Om Shanti 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 Om.
Om Shanti 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 Om. Om Shanti 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 Om.
You see the vibrations of the new self, the paraphysical self, the higher global self. Of course, we see the leap taking place between the humankind and space-kind. We are part of a new generation leading to what the ancients called, and we call Homo Universalis, universal humanity. This is also the mantra of the late Barbara Max Hubbard. We must see ourselves as universal humanity being gathered now in a birthright of cosmic citizenship. We're not alone, we were never alone, and we are discovering now that those from the higher realms are looking down upon the changes of Mother Earth and celebrating with us in their appearance of light.
And so let us feel that universal tone. And now even we know that the universe has a hum. Scientists are starting to tell us this, that there's a hum that exists throughout the realms. This is not something from ancient philosophy, although it coincides with ancient philosophy. It is the hum of the divine that keeps all life in harmony, that brings all sacred geometry into the fore, that gives us our own ability to unfold as we have, with 2 arms, 2 legs, a head and a body. It's all part of the vibrations of life. The vibrations connected with the Om, but also with the Shanti, and also with the Agape or Agate.
So we are a synergistic symphony. As we see here in this magnificent unfoldment of the Shekinah, the mystical word for the divine presence, unfolding around us from above with wings and spirit, with the eternal consciousness of the divine eye within and without, with the realization that we are multidimensional beings, waking up to our role as cosmic citizens in the vast and awesome universe, which is shaking the corridors of Congress and allowing the nations of the earth to understand beyond Operation Disclosure, we're being prepared for a great leap into the future.
And so let us see ourselves now sitting in perfect harmony, beyond the duality of plus and minus, good versus evil. Let us find that Trinity power within. And also when we do, we find the radiant energy surrounding us. We also see the divine eye, that also was known in various traditions, peering out at us.
Our body becomes like a capstone. As we meditate, as we energize the energy flow around our body, mind, and spirit, we become a triple power. A trike, as we see in Sanskrit, or Trinity in the English, it means really the ability to go beyond 3-dimensionality into the 5th dimension. This is the beginning of the quantum change. And so, catch our breath. We understand the blessings.
And let us put forth the words of the song, and please everyone join us. I know it's a little noisy here. Agape, we'll say Theyu, which is the God of any level of any creation that you perceive it, as the love of God. Let us feel that radiation coming down to us.
Agape Theyu.
Agape Theyu. Agape Theyu. Agape Theyu. Agape Theyu. Agape Theyu. Agape Theyu.
We see the microcrystals, we feel them within our ears. Our body is a transducer, a vehicle of light, a musical expression. And that is the missing aspect of science and traditional religious practice. It is the experiential, the music dynamic of the sacred language of Pentecost, of the charismatic moment, of the healing moment, of the wonder of inspiration that comes from above into the human heart. This is the mystery of all mysteries as we begin to understand the language of ascension.
And now we're going to play for you one of our videos, and just speak also over it. We'll hear some music in the background. This is a vibrational. And then at the end, we'd like to see if maybe you can get Antoinette, if she's around at the end, to come forward. 'Cause
You see the pyramids from all parts of the world illustrating that which points to the heavens. The sacred geometry of unfoldment. The stemming of the gates, the shayara of vibration, illustrated by the ancient Egyptians, the peoples of the Near East, East Africa and the Far East. The symbol of the Divine Mother with the wings being awakened. The vibrations of a new knowledge, the higher noses, the divine feminine, the missing part of the higher teaching, now restored in the quickening of spirit.
And let us feel the network that we are all a part of.
From the Hubble telescope to the James Webb telescope, we begin to see beyond the Big Bang that there is a beginning even beyond the Big Bang. In the Garden of Creation, which is the mind's eye. In the Psalms of King David, we are told about the sacred lily, the garden of the lilies by King Solomon. In the Far East, the sacred divine spirit, exemplified the Divine Mother. The great avatars and teachers, and the wisdom of the many worlds. Now, the divine spark within our higher self, our over-self mind begins to see and experience vibration. The eternal mandala begins to open.
And as it does, we see the spiral and we feel the connectedness that we have with all life. That is why being of service is so important, because we are connected. There is a coherence that all of us share. It's part of the greater quantum field, and it's been known by the ancient ones who built the pyramids around the world.
Each country and each tradition understood the architects of the new dawn, the architects of the higher worlds, the house of many mansions. And now has come our time for graduation. From the mountains of South America, from the Andes, to the sacred sands of Central Asia, from the Himalayas, Tibetan texts that speak of the clear view, the brothers and masters of light. The sacred geometry within our heart begins to open, and we ourselves become the architects. The new dawn, the new picture of life, the tree of life, the sacred path that begins to open as a water drop on the eternal sea. In an ocean of consciousness we see and hear the beauty of the resonance in the fields. Ocean upon ocean, breath upon breath, sound upon sound. We graduate as we begin to put the symbols together of the many cultures.
And we begin to define who we are as cosmic beings of energy that radiate and emanate to each other, sharing and vibrating in a higher harmonic. All life is vibration, and all thoughts are part of the global field. But we add to those thoughts, and if we add thoughts of peace, of harmony, of love, we can literally transform consciousness and the nature of consciousness. So let us never be put off by what's taking place on the planet.
Through these sacred cosmograms or sacred pictures, the infinite mind, the infinite way, the infinite self, the I am that I am, the Eya Asher Eya, Ki Asher Kia, in the ancient languages become aware of our presence.
So in closing this meditation, we're just going to say some amens, but then we're going to continue for a moment as we say Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And Amen.
And we'd like to call Antoinette. If you notice at Hurtak, We are here in the midst of the yurts. If Jeff wants to come forward for just a minute as well, maybe you can talk about the yurts that are around us. If you don't want to, she'll do it. Okay. Tato does the normal gap.
Beautiful voice.
And we're going to let them kind of tell us about the yurts, if you'd like. Come on. And also how important it is. And then Antoinette is going to give us a little singing if we can. Can you do that? No. Only he does that? Yeah. Okay. And then tell us about, because everyone can go over to her yurt.
Okay, so what's happening right now in the earth yurt is the body yurt. Can you hear me okay? All right. So in the earth yurt number 3 is the body yurt. And that one is the earth yurt. That one is the one with the plants. I have a grounding mat in there as well too. I have aromatherapy, some crystals. I call it the healing earth yurt. Heal the planet, heal yourself. Heal the mother, heal yourself. I set it up intentionally for my own wellness, and I know you guys all need wellness as well too. Because these conventions and these things are very hard on yourselves while you're out there giving service to everybody else. And I know you guys all need to connect with spirit. And you want to connect with yourselves to be able to come inside and be able to tune in to that higher power and that higher frequency. So that is what the earth yurt. And right now there's musicians that are in there performing, and they're getting the creative inspiration. And yes, it's very divine. And there's another woman who is just now offered to do a sound body healing at 4 p.m. So we're letting everybody know that if you want to do any sound healings and all the frequencies or other stuff that you want to do, we're going to be doing that in the earth here. So come and utilize that space. That space is for you guys to use. It is for you to rest, to sleep, to nap, to ground, to focus. Just remove your shoes, no talking, and just feel the frequency and feel the vibration of the planet and let it work through you, and you will get all of your inspiration that you need to do to go out there and do what you need to do. Okay? I'll see you guys later.
That's number 3, and Jeff is in control of your number 1. Actually, let's show this. Jeff?
First of all, thank you for the sacred names and the sacred images and the sacred vibrations. This is beautiful, and thank you for coming. Yurt 1, the first one when you enter, is for interspirituality. And what it has is the 9 principles of interspirituality, which came through someone named Brother Wayne Teasdale. And what it is basically attributes of mature spirituality that is found in all of the world's traditions. And so when you go inside, we invite you to take your shoes off, if you will. There is a board for each of the 9 elements, sticky notes on the table, in which you can then just take a note, look at the element, and then put on there how you relate to that particular element. Like having the capacity for complete moral and ethical capacity. That's the first one. And you'll see sticky notes from others as well, so you'll be able to take in how other people have related to that. And thank you for letting us share that.
Pato is now willing to, actually he's going to take on, give us a final music. He's fabulous. And then we'll close it up with a few words from Dr. Hurtak.
All right, so I've been asked to do an a cappella song for you guys. Can you hear me at the back? All right. So this one is called Love is the Greatest Thing in the World. And it goes like this. If you guys want to sing it with me, it goes like this. Love, oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing. Love, oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing. Again, love, oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing in the world. So that's how it goes, all right? All right, here we go.
Everyone.
So many problems in this world that we're living in. So many people feel like giving in. Life is a struggle, but we keep on juggling. Poor man hustling, money man bustling. Yes, we're moving at a fast pace, but I don't want to be in a no rat race. 'Cause there's more to life than material things. Everyone count your blessings, and we got to give thanks and praise as we look forward to brighter days. 'Cause I know with a little faith, everything is gonna be okay. I believe that love, oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing. Love, oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing. Again, love, oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing in the world. Ooh. Now I know it might sound quite delirious, but I believe this is the age of Aquarius. And I know it might sound quite precarious, still I believe this is the age of Aquarius. I can hear the call, I can see the signs, I can feel your love, I can sense the vibes in my heart and soul, in my conscious mind. I know it's revelation time, time for more justice, more equal rights, more peace and love, more truth and light. A time to rise to a higher heights, closer to light and life. You see, true love is truly contagious, gentle, kind, meek, mild and courageous. To spread love is so advantageous. Tag your it, now spread the virus of love. Oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing in the world. Oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing I can love. Oh love, sweet love, is the greatest thing in the world. Thank you.
Go, Pato!
In other places and out of respect for the other great presenters at the Parliament, for to say good afternoon to all of you.
And you can come up and ask questions.
We thank Michael Doden for his work last night with the drums.
Michael did the Christian
Mass. Just thankful we've got great musicians working with the Academy throughout the world. We are a musical Peace Corps. Be in touch with us. One final last thing I want to sing. Lord is here. Adonai Shema. Adonai Shema.
Adonai Shema.
We go in peace, may we come in peace, may we sing in peace, may we rise in peace. This is why we came here, to be the singers of the heavenly choir. God bless.